You are listening to Smart Women's Dating Podcast, episode number 79. Welcome to Smart Women's Dating Podcast. I am your host, certified life coach Lærke Nielsen, and I help smart, independent women attract the love they deeply desire without having to chase or settle. This podcast will give you the mindset tools and insights you need to finally crack the code to your love life. Are you ready? Then let's go. Hey there. It's been such a long time since I recorded an episode, but of course, if you're a regular listener, you wouldn't know because I've been publishing episodes every single week. But the truth is, I actually have recorded so many episodes in the month of April, and that was planned. It was on purpose. I batch recorded a lot of episodes in April so that I could take the whole month of May off and not do any podcast episodes, simply because I had to go through a surgery. Now, this was something that has been planned for a long time. I was going to have a hip replacement surgery, and you might think that sounds like something for old people, and how old is it again? I'm 54, and it's actually not that unusual to get at my age. So I had been diagnosed with osteoarthritis 3 years ago, and it has developed quite fast, and I had more and more pain and trouble sleeping, troubles walking, and so on. So I had decided to do this surgery, and that's why I went through that early May. I am now, at this moment when I'm recording this episode, I am 4.5 weeks out of the surgery. And I want to share a few things about this surgery because it made me reflect on things that also reminded me a little bit of the dating journey. So if you look up hip replacement surgery, or if you ask people who know about this or who's gone through this, you will quickly hear a lot of stories about how easy this is and how uncomplicated it is and how it's just almost like a walk in the park. And it's true that it's a lot easier than a knee replacement surgery, for instance. You get a faster recovery and usually you get a better result. But it is not a walk in the park. It's a big surgery and it comes with a lot of pain and also comes with fatigue and exhaustion. And in the first couple of weeks, I was so grateful that I did the work and recorded my podcast ahead of time because I was just so tired. I needed to take a nap all the time. And also you have really a big change in your body. And it just takes time to not only heal, but also become more flexible and mobile. And of course, you need patience to go through this. And you also need to understand that not two people are the same. We all have each our way of reacting and each our way of healing. And I also knew from the beginning, but sometimes tend to forget, that healing is never a linear process. And we know that is the case for so many healing processes. It's not linear. You take a few steps forward and then a few steps back, and sometimes it can feel like you're not actually progressing, but you are progressing. And when you look at how much you are capable of doing, of course, you can see that you are progressing, even though sometimes it feels like it's not going fast enough. So I must admit that in the past 4 weeks, I've been through a few moments of crisis where it was all related to thoughts about not being where I was supposed to be yet, not being as progressed in my healing as I thought I would be, or as I tell myself the average hip patient is, and I should be there by now. So looking at the brochure that I got from the hospital where they say how fast you are pain-free and how fast you get to throw away the crutches and walk without them. And I would then say, okay, I'm actually not at all there. This is not describing my situation. So what is wrong with me? I also had a few situations where someone would ask me, are you still walking with both crutches, or are you still taking painkillers? And in a tone where I would interpret it as if there's something wrong with me. I'm not healing fast enough. And that would make me rather frustrated and think there must be something not going right here. I'm doing something wrong. And of course, when you are in a situation like this and you just have gone through a really big surgery, for many people, this is literally the biggest surgery they ever had when they get it. You tend to get very easily worried and wonder if you're doing something wrong. Now, when it comes to pain, as many of you might know, there's a strong psychological component, and once you start to feel worry and stress, you also experience your pain differently. If you experience your pain as something that is a problem, that it shouldn't be there, or it shouldn't be like this now, I should have less pain, or I should have no pain, instead of thinking of it as a natural response from your body, you also feel the pain in a different way. You experience or perceive the pain in a different way. And this just goes to show that even as a life coach, I do have to coach myself sometimes, and I do have to get coached by my own coach. And at the moment, I became aware of how I was actually judging my pain and almost yelling at myself for not being further ahead in my healing journey. Then I could see how stupid that was and how it was actually not doing me any good at all. So I had to sit down and remind myself that we all have different journeys, and so far, I'm actually within the normal range of healing time. There's nothing wrong here. There's nothing pathological going on. I just need to be more patient and maybe collaborate a bit more with my body instead of judging it for being in pain. I also have to say that I was a little bit challenged in the first couple of weeks by also having a cold, potentially also having a little COVID infection that I never really got confirmed if it was COVID or not, and having a sore throat. And those are things that take the energy as well. So I wasn't really in a situation where 100% of my energy went into the healing. And looking at what I was capable of in the 4th week was actually not that bad. I've been walking quite a lot, and I'm doing my stairs every single day because I live on the 5th floor and there's no elevator. So I've been going up and down 2 to 4 times every single day. And so after having gone through these reflections, I decided to stop yelling at my pain and instead listen, support, and collaborate, and trust that I will get through this and get to the other side in exactly the right time. And that made me think of dating, because it's a bit the same that happens sometimes. If we tell ourselves that it's not good enough, we're not where we're supposed to be yet, and we should be further ahead, and everyone else is already there. Instead of embracing our own personal journey and supporting ourselves, we judge where we are, and we keep focusing on how we are not where we think we're supposed to be. So, I want to invite you to think about this if this is coming up for you, and decide to embrace and appreciate the fact that we all have different journeys, and there is nothing wrong with that. Nothing has gone wrong if you are still single, so to speak, or if you are single again after having realized that the man you thought were the love of your life, he wasn't after all, and now you're getting ready to go out there again. Nothing is wrong about all this. We all have our different journeys, and there's a lot of valuable learnings in that. And you get to decide to extract that learning, and you get to decide to grow and to move on to the next phase of your life in a way that is supportive to who you are and who you want to be and what you want to create in your life. And this leads me to share with you that I've been thinking a lot about my business lately. So not only during my recovery, but also before the surgery. I've been thinking a lot about who I want to serve and how I want to serve them. And I'm going to make a few changes in my business over the coming months, and that includes also the podcast. It's still not 100% clear what it's going to look like, but I do want to shift into focusing more on building your relationship with yourself, as I believe this is the most important part of having any kind of healthy relationship with others, whether that is a romantic relationship or other kinds of relationship. And I also feel this is the area where I personally had the most growth in my life. So this is really super aligned to my own journey and experiences, and that is so important to me. So the overall focus is still gonna be on creating a healthy relationship or improving an existing relationship. And I'm still gonna support single women who are looking for that deeply connected relationship, or single women who want to let go of the past and get a deeper understanding of themselves before they decide to go back and look for a new relationship. And also, of course, women who are in relationship and who might feel anxious and lack the balance of self-soothing and self-validation that is needed to be healthy inside a relationship. And I will share much more about this later. But today in this episode, I'm just gonna share an observation that I've done and that I think can help many of you. So what I have noticed is that many of you, because you come from such a strong, powerful masculine energy that you really need in your career and in your life as a single woman taking care of things yourself, you find it very natural to make decisions quickly. You decide on the basis of sometimes very little information and then take action from that decision. And that is a skill that's very handy and very useful in a career. But in dating, this can actually work against you. You don't want to decide too early on something that can develop to your own advantage. And this is not about giving the guy a chance. It's not about him. It's about giving you a chance, giving you a possibility to see what the connection can turn into if you give it a bit more time. And then, once you have more data, so to speak, then you get to decide. Now, I'm not talking about the guys that completely turn you off or where you see big red flags. It's not about giving them a chance. We're more talking about the guys in the gray zone, so to speak. The man who seems to be maybe a little bit boring, or at least not the most attractive guy in the room when you just see him. But then he turns into being super interesting and very sympathetic and with a great sense of humor. But only when you get to know him, of course. So I'm also talking about trying to maybe put aside a little bit some of the ideas of what is a big red flag. Because I know that some of you have a bit of a categorical approach to that, and you may be focusing on the wrong things here. So this is maybe something I would create a separate episode about. What are the red flags that are not really red flags, and what is important to look for? You always want to focus on a man's personality and the way his words and actions align. Does he do what he says he will do? Does he show up consistently? Do you have a connection with him that makes you feel that you can be yourself? And do you feel good about who you are in his company? And do you enjoy spending time with him? Those are things that are so much more important than what he has achieved in his past, for instance. Now, if we take a look at for a moment, why is it that we tend to want to make a decision fast in this situation? I think there are mainly two reasons for that, and the first one is that you think it's more efficient. You don't want to waste your time on someone who isn't your dream partner. But that's where I just have to tell you that I've seen so many times women who were dating hundreds of guys, literally, and all of them got only one date and then they were out. And when you think of this statistically, it's just not possible that among, let's say, 200 guys, there isn't one single person that could be a good match to you. Unless, of course, you really make an effort in choosing the wrong ones. But the thing is, among these couple of hundred guys, there are most likely some of them who could be a good match, but that you write off too early. And you are actually in the long run being more inefficient if you decide too fast. If you do this superficial surface dating and never get to know some of the guys that you then decide to be a no to. The second reason that we make quick decisions is that it feels actually very uncomfortable to not have a clear and explicit opinion about a man that we're dating. If you're not sure about him and you also cannot really eliminate him, he's just kind of hanging there in a space of uncertainty. It's an unmade decision, and that can scratch or trigger your brain a little bit. It feels more safe to have a clear opinion about someone. And if we then push our brain to make a decision at this early stage, it is almost always going to be a no. And why is that? It's because it's the safest choice, and your brain loves to be safe more than getting to know someone new and exploring whether this could be a good match. So what I want to invite you to do is use the strategy that if it is not a clear no, then he's still in the game. And if it is a clear no, you have to be conscious about your reasons. You have to know why you don't want to see him again, and you want to be behind those reasons. You want to like those reasons and know that they are aligned with your values. So be open and be curious and see what happens with how you think of him and how you feel about him if you continue to date him for 3 to 5 dates, for instance. Be open to being surprised. And remember, you are doing this for yourself. You are not doing it for him. You are doing it for yourself and your future relationship. So that was all for today. And if you want more of my support in a more personalized way, my calendar is now open again. And there's a link in the show notes and on my Instagram bio at Lærke the Love Coach. I hope you are enjoying summer or whatever season you are in, where you are, and I wish you a wonderful week with lots of cool surprises. If you like what you're hearing on this podcast and you want to get support from a coach on your love journey, I invite you to book a free consult call with me. You will find the link in the show notes. And also, don't forget to subscribe, and I would love it if you would rate and review this podcast, and then you'll also help other women find it.